Okay, so I am doing the first topic about Dolores Umbridge. So if I say anything wrong or I say the wrong name, it is not because I don't know what I read. It is because I'm confused because I did not read the previous books and I don't really know Harry Potter. But I believe that she's an ineffective teacher and administrator. And because she uses like violence and fear and pain. For example, in the book, so my citations are going to be physically from the book. I don't know if you want me to show you those. I'm going to submit a picture of one of the decrees because that's the only like physical picture I have without using the movie. For example, pain. She has Harry sent to detention, and like that will come up later. But she has him write lines, and Dolores says like, we're gonna get better at controlling our temper. Now you're gonna do some lines for me, Mr. Potter. No, not with your quill. You're gonna be using rather a special one of mine. Here you are, and it has an unusually sharp point. And she says, I want you to write, I must not tell lies. And he says, how many times? And with a credible imitation of politeness. Oh, as long as it takes for the message to sink in. So this pen, from what I'm gathering, it like literally cuts into your skin and uses your blood. And like, so every time he would write, it would be his blood. It would literally carve, I will not write lies, into his skin. And I looked it up, but I don't know if you want me to put the picture. I'm just not gonna submit it because I don't really know. I can't really draw it. I could try to write it. It would be like if he was writing, it would be like, so say that this is what it would do. It would cut into his skin, and that's so much pain, and they're not going to learn from that. And they'll learn, but in the wrong way, because that's not a good motivation. It should be encouragement, or like, there's a word like affirmation, I guess. They were kind of excited. They should be excited to learn, and they want to learn, and they should be in a good environment, but they're not. She also ignored them when they raised their hand. There's a couple parts. They're in class, and they're talking in class. Why can't I find this? Anyways, like Hermione is like raising her hand. Dean raises his hand and she's like, Mr. Thomas, your hand, like hand Mr. Thomas. And then Hermione has something to say and she asks if it's about the reading, and she says no, but it's something else. And she's like, no, like, no, thank you. And she's like discouraging their curiosity, which is like such a bad thing in my opinion as an educator or teacher. And so there's that, which are just like two pretty big things. So kind of like two other things. Harry was, I didn't read the books, but my boyfriend, when he found out that I had to read the books, told me like background, Voldemort killed Harry Potter's parents when he was really young, and killed Cedric when Harry was up against him. And I don't know all about that, but obviously Harry Potter has, and from the book, from what I read, like you can tell there's a history, and he's not lying. So that's where this is I will not lie comes up. And he says, so they're like, are you telling us for their spells, for their exam, the Owl's exam? He's saying, are you telling us that the first time we will get to do the spells will be during our exam? And Umbridge says, I repeat, as long as you have studied the theory hard enough. And then Harry said, and what's good theory going to be in the real world? Said Harry loudly. And she looks up and she goes, this is school, Mr. Potter. We're not in the real world. And he says, so we're not supposed to be prepared for what's waiting out there? And she said, oh, there's nothing out there, Mr. Potter. And so then he like brings up kind of rudely Voldemort, and she's like, he's dead, he's still dead, whatever. And Harry knows he's not dead. And there's a level of teachers believing things and not believing things, but the way she dismisses his opinion and voice is really, I can't think of the right word, it's like really diminishing on someone's character if they're not as bold as Harry to create then Dumbledore's army, because Dolores was like kind of replacing Dumbledore, and Dumbledore was like, from what I can gather, everyone's like favorite person in a way. So Harry ends up teaching them what he knows, and because she ignores them if they have questions, and she's gonna make them bright with their own blood, and so it's clearly ineffective. So the second thing kind of is that she uses the Ministry of Magic educational decrees, and it's not bad to go by the book, but she only teaches by the book, and she doesn't let them explore their magic because they technically are not allowed to, but she uses her power. So she, from what I was able to put together, she kind of made and impersonated some of the Ministry of Magic decrees, and she'd put them over the classroom. I simply cannot find the picture currently, and that's why I'm going to submit it unless I all of a sudden find it. But she basically is doing things in spite of the people's, I'm going to start flipping through pages, I am talking still, like what they want to do, and she's just really against anything that involves curiosity or anything like that. I found them. So there was one about the Quidditch, and by order of High Inquisitor of Hogwarts, you can see that Dolores writes another one in its decree number 24. Any student found to have formed or belonged to an organization, society, team, group, or club that has not been approved by the High Inquisitor will be expelled. And so there's another one that I simply cannot find, but I'll submit the picture of it. And it's one for Quidditch, and you can tell that she's kind of out to get Harry. And it's probably because Harry's curiosity is kind of nipping her "don't be curious" in the butt. But she like ignored people, and she was like abusing her power. And when you're abusing your power and diminishing people and discouraging people's curiosity and opinions, you're making it hard for them to learn and grow and feel comfortable, and making their life really hard. And then they're gonna go against you and make, like, I think the girl's name was Angelina. She wanted to make it an anti-Umbridge group or army or something. But yeah, so real quick, I forgot about this. On page 267, he's writing it and realizing that the pen is getting cut into his hand, and she's like, hand, and he gives her hand. He gives her his hand, and she says, "Tut tut, I don't seem to have made such an impression yet." So she's like being mean, and then like she also kind of lives like two roles. She's not just a teacher. She's not really, since she's also doing the inspections later on. I didn't really understand the inspections. She's also like not staying completely professional, and I think that's also an element. You have to keep your cool, and you have to be able to be in the classroom and be a professional and treat your students with kindness. So hopefully that answers it. I really tried to keep it together, but yeah, she's just an ineffective teacher for sure, educator, ineffective administrator. But yeah, that's my assignment.